Good morning.
Good morning. We're live. I'm Mitto.
I'm James.
This is James. Good morning, James. Good morning. No,
No,
okay.
I'm not going to do that.
Thanks for coming back again. Welcome to our live chat.
That appears to have failed. There we go. We should be good to go.
Was that on?
Yeah.
It's recorded. That
We're still live.
Are we still live?
Yes, we are.
We are still
We
live.
just have a minor technical glitch. Sorry about
Technical glitches. We're good at those.
that. That's what happens when you have crappy internet.
Lost my train of thought now because we
Well, I don't
we had a
think it
glitch.
started, to be honest.
Yeah, we hadn't started thinking. Yeah, so welcome back. Thanks for joining us again to our live chat. Got a few topics to go through today, and then we'll do our usual Q&A.
There's some good questions come through already, I think. But if you've got any more, feel free to fire them in.
Fire them in.
On the comments or via Twitter or however you want, really. Something gets to us.
Anyway, yeah. Text them if you have our numbers. No, don't do that. Right, so new things. Last week we put in, well, this week technically, we put in a new track. There's some pictures up on our Facebook and on our blog.
Yeah.
On there. So you can go on there and look at those. We have changed some of the stuff that we're doing this month. Traditionally, we've always laid out a lot of clipping points and explained the line to everybody when we put a new track in. This month, we're not doing that. The course we've done is very, I don't know, it's
quite technical.
It's quite technical, but it lends itself to running together, like to twinning, and
it's very good. It's good fun.
There's lots of room and pace, and
I think this one's definitely the most fun track we've ever had.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite for sure. But this track basically allows for all of the techniques that we've tried to be teaching people for the last year or so to be sort of put together into one sort of a set of lovely techniques that all happen together. So there's a bit of Korogashi in there, there's a bit of Tobashi in there, there's a bit of a wall run, there's a bit of a flick, there's a bit of everything really. And it really allows you, a driver to show their own style, which is a big thing, style is something you've got to develop yourself.
There's a good few places on this where you can add some flair and show off effectively.
But
which is cool because it's not always a lot of tracks that we've been to and things like that. There's not many places you can add that really. It's usually just a wall run. That's the only part that's like
And this actually now there's 5 or 6 ways just to run the straight. Like different lines that are all acceptable and all good, but they're very different from each other, and that's where you add your style in. We have got an idea of what the ideal line is, but we're not giving that away. We're waiting to see what people pick up.
We're kind of treating it as a bit of a test, really, aren't we, to see how the standard of driving here is improved. Not just the actual driving, but we want to see whether people have understood how to work out the cool lines. There is a super secret mega line on this that we're not going to tell anyone.
Well, it's not a secret. It's right there.
It's right there. You just got to work it out.
Just got to open your eyes.
It's fun.
Should we suggest a circuit to watch?
No,
not even that.
No, actually, have we told anybody? You've told somebody.
I think I've mentioned it to like
if you've told one person, you've got to tell everyone. So.
Okay, so if anybody knows Bihoku circuit,
watch outsiders.
Watch outsiders. Explain it very well. But have a look at that and sort of keep that in mind when you are approaching this course, and try and think about the style more than you're thinking about
the actual line,
the speed, I guess. So yeah, that's kind of what's happened with that. So it's an experiment to see who's learned what really.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So that's the new thing we're doing with our track.
But I think that the other element to it, which I don't know if people even think about, but for us, when we do the competition at the end of each month, we see people that you can clearly see have just learnt the one line. Yeah. As soon as they have to adapt and follow somebody offline, or as soon as they have to make an adjustment, the game's gone for them, if you know what I mean. They spend a month practicing one line. And so for this, it's kind of like we want people to start experimenting with different lines. We want people to be able to adapt better, to be able to run with different people. You know, it's fun. I mean, we were here. Was it Tuesday? We were finalising the layout, and we normally run the layout for a little bit and just check it works and make sure it's not going to bunch us up too much.
We were here for hours.
We were here for a long time practicing the super line.
It's like, oh, this line, no, this line, no, try this. Yeah.
And then Wednesday when we opened to the public, we ended up running. Well, we haven't super fun, weren't we? We had,
totally.
We were running. We had FC Mayhem. We had. You got your
FCs. I got my FC out. We were getting old FCs out and lending them out.
Yeah, we
were sticking massive wings on everything because FCs
need a big wing.
You know, if you're going to run an FC, you need a massive wing, like the most massive wing you can find. I mean, I can't even remember that was off, but it's massive. Oh, it's R31 House. That's what it was off.
That's what that's.
Thank you, Paul Edwards, for that wing.
I didn't even know Paul Edwards was the source of that until you just said it there. I just thought it was from your stash.
No, well, it kind of was.
But,
it was supposed to be my R31 House body, but it's ended up being on the FC.
Yeah, that's done me proud of that.
But
been rubbed quite nicely.
Yeah. From that, like I was saying about the track and it being really easy to twin,
we've decided to do something.
We decided that it's so easy to twin on it that we should do triple. We should do twin. We're doing a triple drift class, which basically stems
for this month's competition.
For this month's competition. So what we're trying to do is just the competition down has been getting a bit intense and a bit serious, and that's really not what the hobby should be about. It's fun, we're all here for fun.
Yeah.
So even our competitions, I mean, we give pretty big prizes away. You know,
basically
it costs us a fortune, and I cringe every month when he gets the prizes out.
Well, the way we've worked this year,
I'm way stingier than you. I just give him I give him a crunchy and be like, yeah, off you go. Well done.
But yeah. Well, basically for our competition each month, every single pound that goes into the tickets goes into buying the prizes effectively. Yeah. So we don't make any money from competition weekend. So for us, it's just stress and extra work hours and things like that. But we want to add a bit of fun into it. So we're MSC effectively in Japan. They run a triple
motorsports challenge,
and it's very cool. You have the mind control guys entering. You have
Burst.
A whole bunch of the cool
Commandos.
Teams. I was going to say names, but I'll probably get them wrong. So rather than look stupid, I'm just not going to say any names. But yeah, it looks awesome. And essentially, the element of triple class is it's team driving. You're not trying to beat somebody that you're running with. You're trying to make everything perfect. So
you're working with people.
Yeah.
It's a completely different art
to
having a battle with someone.
It really
battle
is.
Driving and twin drift or triple drift is, or well, more than that. It's called gakudori, which literally means school drift.
Yeah,
like a school of fish flapping around. And there's various styles to it as well. So you've got D1 style, which is in on the put my hands this way. So D1 style is like here, door to door, and then you've got snake style, which is when you run behind and you make mirrored movements like a big slippery snake. And then you've got, I forgot the other style, but there's another one where you basically nudge on the rear wheel as opposed to the front door or something. There's various ones, but anyway, multiple cars together is called gakudori, and that's working together.
It's fun, but it also looks awesome.
It looks way awesome because if everyone gets good at it, you end up looking like if no one's seen it yet on YouTube, type in wins Narita, and it's those guys.
I'll go to our blog. We've got some videos already posted on the blog a while back. But
we check them regularly, don't we?
Yes,
we're desperate.
We're good fans. And we think we need to visit them if we get to.
Well, yeah, it's like but with those guys, it's kind of like when we first got into this and we were watching Nakamura Illegal Mill. That's a good one. And Waru, all the Waru videos.
Definitely, Waru was awesome.
And I was super lucky. If you look on the Waru videos from Atsushi 007, I'm on one.
Yeah.
Me and Paul Edwards, we're on one.
With the GT86, wasn't it?
Yeah, GT86 and Paul had a 180. Paul Edwards featuring strongly today, coming out of nowhere, coming out of Compton.
But the triple drift is just a bit of fun. There's not going to be massive prizes for it. It's just something that we're going to have. We're going to run on both days, the rear-wheel drive and the CS class. It's just going to be fun. That's the whole point of it. But what we want is for people to practice that through the month, because this track lends itself better.
Practice driving together, working with each other,
and practice effectively adapting. If somebody makes a mistake, don't just abandon the run.
Yeah,
because
keep going.
It's good for when you're battling.
Normally, interjecting, didn't Luke Pettigrew ask a couple of questions specifically about the triple?
He did.
Triple drift. Should we answer those while we're here? We're going to skip into this.
He's essentially just asked. He's just asked for details of the triple class. So in essence, the way we'll probably be judging it, we may change our mind nearer the time, but the way it's generally judged is on timing, on line, on mirroring each other perfectly.
So standard speed, line, angle.
Yeah. But
plus mirroring,
yeah,
plus timing, plus obviously technique
and style.
And style, yeah.
There's no point. There's no point in someone being really aggressive and somebody being really smooth behind them.
Yeah,
because it doesn't look good.
Exactly.
You literally got to match each other. So we were running the other night with Beth, and we were running with JR, and it was good fun because we seem to be able to fit with them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we might also enter as well, just for fun.
It's fun. It's fun. So we'll enter. We need a third victim.
But as stupid as it sounds, because I know the question is going to come up. It's triple drift. There's 3 cars. There's not 2 cars. There's not 4 cars.
Yeah, there's 3. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a teammate, select somebody from the array of people.
There's going to be a group of people.
Or we could just randomly join people's teams.
Yeah, we could make up the extra numbers.
Could be fun.
That we haven't practiced with.
Yeah, exactly. But it's for a laugh, so it doesn't matter.
On the point that I've forgotten about for here, on the point of the competition, we got some good news this month because we have a bunch of guys from Holland coming over.
Oh, that's true.
So we have
Taj, Bob.
Well, a few of them aren't 100% confirmed, but it should be and
Ricardo.
And possibly some others.
There was someone else as well, wasn't it?
I've forgotten already, if I'm honest.
Taj, Bob,
all I know is
Ricardo, and
Balker.
Balker, yeah.
Is he coming?
Yeah. Or youngers.
Yeah, so that's going to be very cool.
That's hey guys in Dutch.
We should have. It should be good fun, but it does mean I think everyone's going to need to book up pretty early because there's also possibly some guys coming from other countries that I can't really mention yet because it's not confirmed.
Yeah.
So I think it might be that we're very, very, very busy this month's competition.
That would be awesome if it's.
I'm going to put tickets live later today.
Going international.
And then it's going to be one of those book yourself in, or you might have to miss out because we're down to just 20 places now for competitions. So
Casa de la Mitto is going to be heaving.
Yeah.
I think Casa de la James is also going to be heaving.
Quite possibly.
It's going to be a full house. We need a tent out the back or something.
We've got Bill and Aquadrome. It's close enough.
Yeah, that'll do. Stick them all in a caravan.
Yeah.
They'll probably like that. Okay, so that's kind of what we've done with the course this month and the triple drift. If you're wondering about triple drift, go on YouTube, type in MSC challenge.
They've got their own channel, and there's expert class, and there's what's the other class?
It's basically just watch Mind Control.
Well, you can do that, but also there's a few other of the competition rounds. There's some amazing other teams that end up beating the Mind Control team, but you can see.
It must have been a fluke.
Well, you can. The cool thing is, if you watch the competitions, you can see kind of what we're going for, and you can also see. You can see how it differs. So you're not just watching one team. You can see different people attacking it in different ways, and it's good fun. And it's all it's about. If anyone takes it too serious, we just won't bother doing it.
We'll just cry.
Yeah, it's
anyway, moving along because we do tend to
waffle a bit.
Procrastinate. That's a big word. Is Mitesh on?
You need to leave that word.
He loves it. Hi, Mitesh. We now have back in stock RC OMG,
which is what I keep looking at.
Which is what Jay keeps looking at because he loves it. Jay, OMG is your thing. Give us the rundown on what you put in front of you.
Well, we've got a whole bunch of stuff back in stock.
Remember the cameras up here?
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to work out which order I'm going to tackle in.
Let's just put it all up there,
well,
and then you can decide as it happens.
Kind of good to anyone, so let's just take that out.
Let's start there. Let's start.
We've got the 10.5 motors back in stock and the 120 amp brushless sensor DSCs. Both of them basically wicked. For the money, there's nothing that comes close, I don't think. They're super smooth, super silky, super reliable, and basically
feels quite nice,
for a budget to mid-level driver. Basically, if you don't want to buy a Key, just buy this stuff. That's the way I look at it. They suit everyone. We've got some pretty advanced drivers that use this stuff. I know Taj in Holland is using this stuff in his new RMX.
Yeah, which he's super happy with.
Yeah, he's pretty happy.
RMX update. Remix,
we've got,
someone called it.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. But then we've got we've just got a whole load of new stuff. We've already got the 10.5 motors in at the moment, purely because I think anyone who wants something like a 13.5 or 17.5 probably going to end up wanting to go for a Keyence anyway, or an AccuAt. Sorry,
it's a bit more of a specialised thing. Isn't it? 10.5 is
10.5 is kind
covering
of
all bases.
It's kind of it's the go-to motor really for everyone. They're actually what we've never had in stock until today before is an actual box combo from OMG. Traditionally, we've put together combos where we've had an ESC and we've had a motor and we sell it together for a discounted price. Now, OMG are actually doing it as a bundle that comes in a box. So yeah, they're now on the website. I'll be updating the listing later with photos and things, but I think it's £110 for the motor and the ESC. And we will be also adding a deal onto that, so you can have one of these lovely servos for £140 all in for all three, which is the same deal we ran before, but it just gives you the option to buy a motor and ESC with a discount together as well. So
super cheap.
It's the low profile cordless servo. It's a low voltage servo, which is important for a lot of applications, especially if you're running, say, an MST RTR or something like that. They just work straight away. You don't have to worry about there being capacitors required or anything along those lines, you know. So the work ace, super smooth. They're all super strong, titanium geared generally. They come with the combos with wires and stuff.
The ESC and combo comes with wires, sensor lead, a fan,
and a program card. Essentially everything you need in the box, apart from battery connectors.
I just realised we didn't mention that as we were skipping ahead with the servos.
Yeah, sorry. So back to the servos. It's 40 quid, which is to me a bargain. It's similar specs to a Starbox. The common Starbox that everyone uses, 1251 or 1252. I found that to be much more reliable. We've had essentially no problems with them at all compared to quite a few problems with other servos. They're cheaper. They're also titanium geared, more consistent in terms of voltage requirements and things like that. So they're wicked. We're very, very pleased with them, and pretty much everyone else is. Can't see which way you've done this, but that looks like the next step up, which is the brushless version of the same servo, effectively.
That's the was that the full alley one?
No, absolutely around. Yeah. So we're looking at these as the intermediate level servos, effectively. Yeah. They're slightly faster. They're a bit smoother. Again, they're super strong with mega strong gears. No problems with them. Never had an issue with them. They're £80, and essentially they're the go-to if you're looking to step up to high level gear. If you want to go super posh, you can go to the full aluminium servo, which is ridiculous. It's what I run in my chassis. Although you may notice I've covered the red strip with a bit of purple purely to make it match the chassis a bit better. But fantastic. Been very happy with them.
Obviously, with the full aluminium case, you're getting much better heat dissipation as well,
and better rigidity and accuracy. Essentially, technically, it's a fraction faster than the others. But essentially, they're just all those. There's no better servos on the market for me.
I mean, between us, I've used that one, I've used that, and I've used that.
Well, I was one of the original test drivers for OMG.
I've been happy with all of them.
I've had the original servos, I've had the original motors. Still got them all. They're still working.
We have the test motors under the counter, don't we?
Still got the test motor. Yeah, they're ace. Yep. Very, very pleased with them, and for the money, you can't even come close. To me, we're going to be biased because we sell them, but there's a reason we've invested in these and we haven't got stacks of the other brand stuff here because we don't have problems with these. You know, essentially, if we buy stock in and it fails, and there's problems, it just costs us money.
Very early on, there were a couple that came back, but he literally, OMG just said, really sorry, sent us new ones right away. There was no kind of, we'll have it back and inspect it. It was there you go, there's a new one.
Just
no problem.
And not only that, because again, OMG are fast to respond to any issues, we just replace them instantly anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So we do that from here.
They've got a pretty good warranty on them, but to be perfectly honest, it's not like other companies where it's like you say, it's got to be sent back for inspection, and if you've done this, it's just
they're
if there's a problem
disjointed from people actually using them.
Essentially, the way we work with OMGs, if there's a problem that's not been caused by user error, we just get it replaced, just get it sorted. Exactly. But there's not many instances of that at all, considering how many we've solved. It's a ridiculously low number. I've been running my surveys now since they came out. Both the full metal and the previous the brushless servo, and not had a single problem.
Well, I switched from to the 07 directly from a KO Program PSX,
which is a very expensive,
which is £180, 190.
I don't know what it is now.
When I got it, they were a hell of a lot of money. I wouldn't go back.
No,
wouldn't go back. And that says everything, really, doesn't it?
We like to buy the fun, expensive stuff to play with, and
we buy it, see what how the stuff that we've got compares with it.
Well, so the funny thing I think with RC OMG is a very new brand in this grand scheme of things, but already they're better than some very, very, very established brands that have been around for a long time, both in terms of performance, reliability, and reacting to the market. And
I also think actually, obviously these are made in China. I think there's a bit of a stigma with products that are made in China, where people think, oh, it's made in China, it's terrible. The reality is the majority of the parts that you're using are made in China.
Or
irrelevant
countries,
irrelevant to what they say on the box. They might be made in China, assembled in Japan, or they might just
or there's actually, to be perfectly honest, there's quite a few brands that are made in China, but when you get the packet, it says made in Japan, and I know for a fact they're not. So it's kind of funny, but
sticker placed on in Japan, wherever it is. But you kind of a lot of stuff that comes out of China. There's a lot of inferior products that come out.
There is definitely, but it's generally when it's a clone product.
Which there's a lot of. Unfortunately,
these are completely original. There's a lot of design, a lot of thought gone into it all, especially with the motor and ESC. And particularly the gear sets on these servos are bomb-proof. We've never had anyone
titanium gears in that.
They're all out.
Oh, they're all titanium.
Even
that's me educated. So, even the 40 quid servo has titanium gears in it.
Very strong.
That's wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Because normally you'd expect like brass or something.
Normally they're copper.
Copper.
It will say metal gear, but it will be copper, and it's not a very strong.
So if you don't use it for a long while, it will go green, and you'll have to get the plumber out.
maybe, but the copper geared servos that the other brands do, they tend to chip gears and things like that, and you'll often, particularly we found with the, I suppose we're going back to our review style thing that we did last week with the chargers. I found personally with Salvox servos, they used to be bomb-proof, they used to be absolutely fantastic. I used them for years with no issues, and then all of a sudden, in the past 18 months, 2 years, almost every single one we sold failed. The gear set.
It's like the manufacturing process.
You turn left, the wheels would go left, and you straighten up, and then the centre would become slightly off to the left. Then you turn right, and then straighten up, and it'd be slightly off to the right. You lose the ability to actually have a centre line, which is just a nightmare. It's a pain in the backside because it means you have to manually centre your car.
Which you don't want to do every 2 minutes.
It just means you're thinking about something that you shouldn't have to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also is just a sign that the product is wearing out and it's not going to last that much longer. The OMG stuff is bomb-proof. We're on our original servos, never had to replace them. The motor I've had in many chassis, run some silly settings for it to try and damage the thing effectively to test it. Never had a problem, still runs fine. It's my spare motor. I do run AccuBounce motors because they are a superior product, but they're also twice the price. But the OMG I quite happily put in as my backup, and for anyone who's not competing on a European level, or in fact for many people that are competing on a European level, the OMG motors are
fine. It's really good.
I think actually, particularly the motors, I think are very good for people that are trying to step up and improve their technique, because they are very predictable, very smooth, and they don't lack power, they don't lack anything.
The only difference really is that very last little bit of finesse, and you only get that with AccuBounce.
But you only require that when you're at a high level.
At a very high level, But relative to a lot of other brands out there, the OMG has a lot more finesse and a lot more detail in the throttle work. If that's a good way to put it, it's very detailed.
It's almost like the resolution of it.
Yeah, exactly. But relative to other stuff that's out there, I mean, it's just way better. Maybe not for racing and things. I don't know because I haven't tested that, but certainly for drifting, I think that finesse in the motor is key.
I mean, we're kind of banging on about it, but I've got to be honest. When RCOMG came out, I was a little bit skeptical because of their name, and as soon as I tested the products, I never looked back.
I thought it was, oh my god. But
it's only manufactured golden.
Only manufactured golden.
got the logos on.
Which is ironic
on my
because
wing
none
posts,
of the
which
products
says
are
got
actually gold. They need to make a gold one.
The motors are coppery gold, kind of browny gold.
Brown. Bourbon. There you go.
Yeah,
Bourbon, that's a good colour. So, moving on, because there's only so much we can say about servos and motors before I kill myself with boredom. Team Tetsujin have done some new wheels.
Super Rim. Is it Super Rim? Is that what they call it?
I don't know. We probably should have
checked that.
Googled that up before we mentioned it. But they've done these new wheels, which are basically a two-piece wheel with an interlocking design.
Yeah, we spoke to Mizunaga last year about it.
Yeah, he's been working on this for quite a while, and the reason it's not come out until now is he's had the design set for
it's been
well over a year.
Yeah.
Is he's actually put a world patent on that design, which takes a long time. Yeah, so it's not just a Japan patent; it's a world patent. So
yeah, so essentially nobody else will be able to do this without, which is good because it means in theory nobody can rip him off, and he has put a lot of thought and effort in designing this.
And basically what you do is you take the rim center and you push it in. It looks like it pushes in from the back of the wheel. I mean, we're getting these in for testing, prior to the release, I believe.
Yeah.
So you have the outer rim and you have the center, which pushes in, and depending how you rotate it,
there's
goes
essentially
into slots.
different locators.
So you push it in and it clicks itself in place with like a sprung tab. Yeah. Like, the things that hold your receivers together and things like, like a little plastic sprung tab. Because there's also solid slots in it, the stress won't go into the tab. So I can't see the tabs breaking off. So it should be super strong.
I mean, at the end of the day, Tetsujin know their plastics, don't they?
Well, that's the parent company of Tetsujin is a plastic injection molding company and prototyping company. And so this is their day in and day out. This is
they know how to make this stuff so it'll last. Yeah. I mean, the Tetsujin. Have you ever broke a tab off a Tetsujin, Kev? Because I haven't.
Of one of those. Yeah. I haven't, but I've seen it done.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's when you have to twist them to take them apart, and it's when people just go and snap them.
That's going to break because it can't.
That will break because it's
But yeah, essentially they're very very clued up on plastics, and the wheel is actually pretty cool. In a few of the designs, they're looking very cool, and the ability to have without having to buy different pairs and things like that, you can adjust your offset. So you can buy a set of wheels, and if you've got a narrow body, you set it to 3mm offset. If you've got a wide body, you set it to 9mm offset.
Finally, being able to
change your
because you can split the center and the rim. You can have a rim color. You can paint your rim, you can paint your center, or you can choose this center. Or if you want to add detail in with the Sharpie,
you don't even have to paint it. You can buy the different colors, so you can have a different.
Well, yeah, they've got different colors, but if you want something custom, so your body is,
it'll be a lot easier.
Gunmetal gray. You can put the exact same gunmetal grey on the center of your wheels, which is super cool. What's the wheel? It's a SSR mesh.
It's not a. It's a.
I thought it looked like in a Quipo One type style.
No, it's different to that. They're calling it the Dahlia, which is an unusual name, but it's the name of my cousin. Name. So.
That's why you think it's a weird name.
Yeah, because it's a person.
It's a person.
It's a person I know. But yeah, it's very cool.
I think of the black Dahlia.
Very aggressive, which is kind of cool. But it's cool that somebody's done something so innovative.
Yeah.
There we go. And we'll be getting them into test. I have no doubt they'll be very good.
Interesting point that you probably wouldn't have got across because Mizunaga, he does speak English, but
basic.
He understands more than he says.
So
I have a lot of conversations with him because I can speak a bit of Japanese and then Jay can't. So I get little extras from him. And actually, he's been tuning the wheels. The locking points are tuned to give you extra traction.
That's very cool.
So because of the plastics he's using and the tensile strength of the plastics, he's designed the wheel so it'll increase your traction.
I'd also imagine they're going to be very strong.
They will be, yeah.
It's cool. It's going to change the way everything works, I think, with wheels. So it'll be interesting to see how everyone else follows suit. But we'll see. We'll see how they work. We'll see how they go. And if they're amazing,
maybe they can't now because he's patented it.
He can still use it. You just have to license them, which he's already told us he's open to. So.
Oh, okay. So we can make some.
We can make some.
Maybe maybe we don't have to. Maybe we just have to make a centre.
Maybe.
Shit, shouldn't have said that on camera. Damn it, giving all the ideas away. Okay, so moving on, and with wheels, I'm now running work wheels.
I'm now running Mikuni wheels.
You suck.
They're advanced.
They're advanced. Technically overdose in Mikuni, which is leading on from wheels to wheels. Our next topic is our chassis.
You're working hard on this segue.
I'm trying. It's just our chassis at the moment. Jay, you're still running the Remix D.
I have to stop calling it a remix. It's the RMX. Remix is weird to me.
RMX.
Yeah, the battery trace needs to go back down. But essentially, yeah, it's.
How are you getting on with it?
I love it.
It's bloody fast.
It's very fast, and actually, bizarrely, I'm running a 13.5 motor in there, and I only.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
It's 13.5, and I only just started tuning it last Sunday afternoon when we had the competition here. I wanted as
Otherwise, running it in stock.
I literally wanted as many people to drive it in completely box fresh settings as possible, apart from the upgrades.
Speaking of box fresh settings, Taj from Holland has run his D110 last weekend. Completely standard settings and came third.
Yeah.
And his first out with the car. In fact, first time driving the car. So Taj is in love with it.
I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon so far, to be perfectly honest. I've now got this as my exclusive chassis, which is saying something. It's big.
He's done it.
So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I'm learning a lot because it behaves very differently to other chassis that I've had, which is part of the reason I was attracted to it, to be perfectly honest, because it's not just a similar layout to something else. It's or at least I've never had a rear motor belt drive chassis before. I'm over the moon with it. I'm starting to learn a lot of new things already with it, but I've got it to a position now where I can drive it okay. I thought I was going to have to adapt my driving style, but actually I've managed to very, very, very quickly dial it in where it essentially I'm driving it like I drive my Triple X, but with added benefits of extra traction. And
it's got a lot of forward drive, hasn't it?
A lot.
And also the other thing you mentioned about it is it makes quite an unusual sound.
Yes, it does. It's kind of weird because
I quite like the noise. It's quiet, but it's
unique. And currently, it's the only RMX that's being driven here, so I can hear my car even when there's other noisier cars on there.
It's like special, but with a TH.
Yes, it's it's kind of cool because it's got the couple of gears on the drive shafts, or the lay shafts.
The lay shaft.
It's got a little whine to it. It's kind of very unique.
That's a main shaft.
Yeah,
and that's the lay shaft.
I know. Yeah. I just used the wrong phrase or the term.
In lay shaft terms.
But it's nice. It's very. I'm kind of half tempted to put it on 64 pitch just to see how quiet I can make it. If I'm honest.
I like Tunksy.
Yeah.
King of the silent chassis.
The Ninja chassis.
The Ninja chassis. Matt Tunks, who is our resident Yokomo supported driver, his chassis are so quiet.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's almost.
I don't like it. It's weird. It's like
I don't know.
It's like driving a whisper.
But with the Triple X, I deliberately had it as noisy as I could with the metal gears.
Well, I like noises.
Well, I did, but this is different, so it's new and fresh for me. I'll probably get bored and make it really noisy, and I'm probably going to fit the shaft drive rear conversion. In the next few weeks and stuff. But
they're not getting noisy either.
Yeah, it's we'll see how I get on with it. I kind of at the moment I'm in a position where I want another one, so I can have a rear-wheel drive version.
And a four-wheel drive.
Because one of the questions that's coming is actually from Rory. He's asked me when I'm going to put it to rear-wheel drive, and I can't decide because I was going to make it rear-wheel drive after because for setting a new track up, Mitto and I need to go to the twin together, and so I was going to change that to rear-wheel drive on Wednesday after we did that. But driving it four-wheel drive, I was really enjoying it. So I don't really want to put it to rear-wheel drive right now, but part of me also wants to run rear-wheel drive. So I'm to-ing and froing a bit.
What to do?
I think I might just get the jacks back up and running as rear-wheel drive for now. It's probably going to be the short-term solution.
I still want that.
But the only thing I have done to this that's not just tuning is I've fitted the shorty mount, which I
a dum-dum.
I did. I thought that I misunderstood something that came from MST. I thought there was a shorty battery mount coming out for this that wasn't available when it shipped.
It turns out
I looked at the photo again and realised it's not a separate part number. It's just you move something and put it on the chassis in a different way. So essentially, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there is maybe better from that side. I have my battery mount just here, and that used to be fitted just here for the full size. And essentially, you just have to put some spaces and stuff underneath it, and it fits fine. There is some spaces that fit perfectly that I don't happen to have.
Special with a TH.
Yeah, but I'm happy I've sorted that now. The only downside is I've wired my battery, or you did the wiring, so the battery terminals were forward, and unfortunately that comes where the plastic goes normally, so I've just had to cut the plastic to make it fit. But if you haven't wired your RMX yet, just make the battery wires go to the rear, and you won't have a problem. But we didn't think this far ahead. So
you didn't provide me with the
no, we were a bit too excited to get it up and running. So
anyway, going back to the point about noisy chassis, I've got a noisy chassis.
You've converted?
Well, I haven't. I've defected. I am running at the moment because I each year have been going to Utabe Arena and competing in the Yokomo competition over there. A Yokomo DPM, which is basically there's 2012 and 2011.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's 2013.
I don't know. I don't know if I got one. Maybe they gave up on that. Can't remember. There's a thing on the wall. Anyway. But yeah, I've been running this DPM. It's got metal gears in the back and it sounds like a chainsaw. But I quite like that. I like noisy stuff. It's a sort of front mid motor chassis, and it's a bit weird for me because I'm used to having instead of the motor being the motor being here, I'm used to the motor being here.
Yeah, and quite far back.
And quite far back. So yeah, it's a bit weird getting used to that, but it's been quite good.
It's probably worth mentioning as well the reason that it's got Yokomo ESC, Yokomo Motor, Yokomo Servo
is for that competition. So everything on this chassis has to be Yokomo to the point where
even the springs are.
Even the springs and the wheels. If I'm out there competing, I need to use Yokomo wheels as well. So it has a Yokomo servo. Everything is Yokomo.
And that's just over a month away, effectively, isn't it? So
yeah. So this is lastminute.com. I was running a dib, but I just don't get on with belt drive, so I shifted over to this. Not really doing anything that special with it, apart from learn how to drive it. I did try some H2 Riku knuckles, if anyone knows what they are.
They're very posh.
They're very posh, and very difficult to set up.
I was going to say, I think they allow very unique things that you may not require for most tracks and stuff.
Yeah, but actually the DPM, it's got the Type C front end conversion. It's all right. It's pretty good. Upgrade Pack 3.
I think that would be cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't sort of choose it over anything else. But it's a good chassis, and I'm reasonably happy with it, and hopefully I'll be able to do something decent with it.
But I can't imagine you running that when the Deval turns up.
No. No. The other issue we've got at the minute is that it's got an 8.5 in it, so it is a total animal. All it wants to do is wheel spin at the moment, so it's very difficult to control. But yeah, I mean, we've got a DPM. You haven't got the worst chassis in the world.
No.
And it's very neat looking.
I'm not a massive fan of them, but now you've settled with that, it's okay. It's better than the previous ones I've driven.
It does the job, and it's got good forward snapping. It's definitely it does what a Yokomo should do.
It's a Yokomo for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It moves like a Yokomo. It counters, very Yokomo. There's a certain style with Yokomo chassis, which is on some circuits perfect, and on others a hindrance.
Yeah.
But that's the same with all chassis. All chassis
have their unique elements.
So that's my DPM. So anyone who has questions about DPMs, I can maybe answer some of those now.
We can't. You stop slapping on the table.
But
that's all people can hear on the video, I believe.
Is it quite noisy?
Yes, very noisy.
Haha. I mean, sorry. So yeah, that's what we're rerunning. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the chassis. There's not a lot else I can say about that. I did run I've put a Accuvance capacitor on it.
Yeah.
Because you're allowed to do that apparently.
Well, I don't believe Yokomo specifically make individual
a capacitor.
They may do. I'm not 100% familiar, but
I'm not 100% familiar.
But
I asked the Yokomo driver, and he said, "Yeah, you can do that." So I did that, and that helped a bunch actually. And now when you if you turn it on now, there'll still be power in the capacitor. It will come on for a second. It's not quite baggy where he had.
That was ridiculous.
It looked like he had so many capacitors. It looks like frog spawn on his chassis.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere. But yeah, happy enough for that. It's doing the business. Goes around the track, and it keeps me drifting while I'm waiting for my Duval.
Yeah.
And I am desperate for my Duval.
Yes. It's
so,
nice.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be too I don't think.
Last point for today, now that we've waffled about many things, is a bit on business, which is probably a touchy subject, but it's just something that's cropped up this week from things that are on Facebook and people trying to start up their own small startups and supply some products. We've got a lot of views on this, but the key thing for us is that everything that we're doing, we do above board. You know, we pay our duty, we pay our VAT, we pay our taxes, and we make sure every product we supply is supported by the main distributor. So, for example, we're talking about OMG. You have a problem with anything with OMG that's not, down to you crashing it or submerging it in water or setting it on fire or anything else stupid. If it's a manufacturing fault, we don't wait for the supplier to send us one. We just fix it for you.
Yeah. Because we
are the distributor. Because we worked hard and set ourselves up and invested our time and money to provide that service. Same for Accuvance and MST and all the brands that we deal with. We offer the same thing. Now,
it's one of the things we take into consideration when we start working with the company is how well will we be able to support our customers. It's the reason. It's the reason
because anyone can sell anything.
It's the reason we will run the product before we distribute it.
Yeah,
we learn it so that as soon as they come in stock, we can help you. We can set them up. We can
give
you advice. We can prevent you causing any damage. We can do
fishing around in the dark.
Yeah.
But basically, it turns out last week there's somebody's imported one of the brands that we do, and the price is marginally cheaper, not hugely. But obviously, that's an unsupported product, and it's not something that we can effectively put a warranty on and cover for people, which sucks because obviously if you're buying stuff that we do, you'd expect that. But the point of it is that if you're buying products, support your local hobby shops, support the people that are bringing in the genuine products, the legitimate products, and going to look after you. Because anyone, like I said a minute ago, anyone can sell you something. It's when it goes wrong, will they just go, "Not my problem, mate," or will they help you?
There is the element. There's the other element of it is if they're not, there have been in the past. We're not naming names or anything like that, but there have been in the past people that have done. They've imported products, not paid their VAT, not paid their duty, and then 3 months down the line, they're no longer selling stuff because
they realise it's really hard.
Yeah, well, if you're not doing things legitimately, you can't grow because the second you try and do things legitimately, you've already hindered yourself and you've made your life 100 times harder. Yeah. So, is the person even going to be around to support the product? Is a big factor for us. At the end of the day, we help proper businesses that conduct themselves properly, who want our assistance and approaches for it. There's no problem with that. For example, next Wednesday we've got a bunch of guys coming over from Ireland, from Models, who have come over. They want to see how we run our shop, but they want to see how we run our track. They want to learn some techniques for drifting so they can help push things forward in Ireland. That's a really good thing. They're spending a lot of money to come over here. They're bringing a couple of drivers over so that they can learn as well. And they're coming to us. They've not gone behind our back and started importing products. They've come through us. They've approached us, and of course we're happy to help them. There's RC Model Shop Direct Asking Models Direct. Sorry, I'm having a memory blank. Forgotten the name of the business, but
that's the Rat Trap guys.
Well, the Rat Trap guys are based out of there, but it's up in Normanton in Yorkshire. It's a new track that's just opened last night, I believe.
But
again,
shop providing a facility for people to use.
It's come to us.
Providing a place for local guys to go and actually drift
and we'll at some point head up there for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll we're helping those guys out. They're stocking MST products. If they need advice, they can come to us advice. It's a good way of doing things.
But basically, it means buying from bedroom traders, for want of a better expression, doesn't support your hobby. The guys, if you bring in a box of stuff, or you're buying your own parts and you add a few bits on, it doesn't make you a shop. It makes you a guy selling bits to, I don't know, afford the cost of your own parts.
I mean, at the end of the day,
what that does is detract from genuine businesses like our own, like Models, like there's a few companies that are legitimate businesses, and it detracts from them the same way copy brands do, and all these clones
exactly.
and
I mean,
stuff,
to operate a business properly, you've got to have the right insurances, you've got to have the right plans, you've got to have a goal that at the end of the day you need to know where you're going with stuff. And it's not that it's impossible to do that if you start out from a bedroom, but it's rare. People don't normally end up doing that.
To be fair to people, we started from a bedroom.
We actually started from a massive warehouse.
We started from 3 really big shelf things. But anyway, the point is, there's nothing against anyone trying to start up. But if you are starting up, stick with legitimate brands. Stay away from clones and all that kind of crap, and don't tread on people's toes.
No,
because there are people in the industry that are established that you need to support you. If you want to start bringing in bodies,
all it does is make everyone's life harder. There's so much out there. You don't have to just.
But if there was a distributor for another super cool brand in the country, and we'd want it in here. So
yeah, we'd buy it from you most likely.
Exactly. So just think ahead about what you're doing, really, because we're all in this together, and we all want this hobby to grow and be more awesome. So that was all we want to say on that. We're not kicking off at anyone or putting anyone down. We're just trying to, put a bit of reality in there. And this is hard. This is a hard game. Anyway, enough of that drama. Q&A, questions and answers. What are we answering? Okay, did we do Luke's one?
We did the
kind of. One, but... Luke Pegler asks, can you reveal the details for a triple class in this Q&A? Done that. Ding! 2, would you guys consider having special events more often? Mini comps on non-comp days. I said it before, but body show-offs, chassis show-offs. It's basically like best body, best chassis. I guess we can.
I think we can add those into the monthly competition, but we can't do one every Wednesday. We can't do one every Saturday.
It's more that'd be like a token prize.
It just gets it gets boring very fast if we did it frequently. So once a month possibly. There's often been times where we run mini comps in the evenings and stuff because it is fun, but we have to have the impression from the guys that are here on that particular night they want to do it. We don't want to stop the track being used if only 3 people want to do a comp.
Well, if guys want to organise themselves into a little mini competition on a normal day, that's fine. And actually, it's a good thing for you guys to self-assess as well. So score your own runs, and if you want to,
and your friends,
call us over. Score your friends' runs. Call us over and get us to judge it as well. See if there's a difference. See if you're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And if there's a difference, ask us why.
Yeah.
Ask us why we've judged it that way. But okay. How can one practice the art of Tobashi? Any setup tips, chassis, electronics wise? Yeah, that is a whole thing on its own.
Have you got any small pointers you can give before we do because we do plan on doing a full video on this.
Come here and ask me while I'm stood next to you, and then I can show you. Tobashi is super hard, and we're going to have to do some technique videos.
Yes.
There's a couple out there, but they're a bit lacking. Because once you get into Tobashi, it probably isn't quite what you imagine it to be. You know, like when I say forward snapping, there's a lot more detail in that. There's
quite
there's rear tobashi, and then recently I got taught front tobashi, which is mind-bogglingly difficult. So yeah, you know, that's something we're going to have to work on because it's a bit more in depth. 4, if you guys were making your own chassis, would it include what would it include? Layout, parts, etc. That is another massive thing as well. It would include awesome.
Yeah, the thing with that is our goal is eventually to release our own chassis. So it's something we put in a lot of time and thought into, and it's something that we're doing lots of testing with. So it's very difficult for us to say that because in a month's time we may completely change our mind.
Yeah.
But also we don't want to give away too much because we want to make something a bit special.
We have got ideas.
We've got some very good ideas.
We've got ideas. We've got revolutionary ideas.
We've got to do lots of testing.
We have the revolutionary idea.
We have a few, yeah. But they could also be terrible. So we have to test. Testing is fun.
Yeah.
Testing just takes a lot of time. So yeah, there's a
reason.
Yeah,
we have got some stuff up our sleeve though, and if the thing that we're prospectively working on works, it'll be amazing.
Yes, but
it might not work.
It might be a massive waste of our time. So,
yeah. So anyway, we're thinking about stuff, but it's
we don't talk about it because it costs a lot of money, and we don't
a bunch of money. Yeah,
we can't put money into something that somebody else then poaches, unfortunately.
Okay, scooting on. Perry Fagan, just the same as last week, really. Is there a surefire way of getting shells to be straight and in the right place? I've struggled where the post holes should be reamed in the rear screens, etc. On an MST, the easy one is that if you use a XXX, the wide rear damper stay, the body post holes are in the same place as the Yokomo,
which is often marked on other brands as well.
Exactly, and if you use the narrow post holes, are in the same place as a Tamiya.
You may need
to use the extenders. Yeah.
Yeah. There is also 4mm. For anyone who's not aware, there is 4mm extensions available as well for certain variations on that as well. Where the body.
I will say with the body, this is the main tip for me really, is when you put the body on. And you've got it on the standard post, your body tends to sit at this angle.
Exaggerated massively.
Exaggerated massively. Yeah. What you've got to do is make it so it sits level, even if it's too high, and then get it in, shuffle it into the right place, and really take your time, and then put four Sharpie dots where you want the post holes to be, and then drill them. But make sure the body is level.
Yeah.
If it's to kilter like this or this, you're going to end up putting the post holes in the wrong place because obviously it's on an axis.
Yeah, I was going to say,
so it's rotating.
A method I used quite well in the past was to put I used what I had at hand, which was blue Loctite, which I just put a blob on each of my body posts.
Yeah.
But then you can make a massive mistake because you apply pressure, your body posts bend.
Yeah.
Which is a really bad thing. So you have to be very careful with it. But the way I always do it is I'll do the front first. And then once the front is in place, I will then work out the rear. And like you say, because it rotates from that point, you need to work out whether you need to bring the posts a little bit further forward, a little bit further back. The way I'll always do it is I'll make a small hole and make sure that the posts are going where I'm expecting them to go before I enlarge it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if I need to, I can bring it forward a bit or back a bit.
Tweak it,
Or
the ultimate tip is just find somebody who's already good at it and just be like, you do this.
Or the easy way of doing it is buy yourself a chassis and a body that kind of go together. So if you put a Yokomo body on an MST, you need the wide rear damper stay, and you need either the standard bumper brace or the wide bumper brace that has the wide holes on the front, and then you just use the dimples, and it's easy.
So my actually my FC that was just on your body
goes straight on the DPM.
Goes straight on the DPM.
Yeah.
So it fits. Oh, that's why it looks like a monster truck.
Yeah.
Because mine's super low on it. Aha, makes sense. Okay, Tom Hampton. A little talk on advanced techniques and how to practice them. That's the other video.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Korogashi videos out there, which is rolling your front wheels. If
I think we need to just book a date and get this.
We just need to do it, yeah.
We'll try and get work on it next week, but like we say, we've got the Irish guys coming over, so we'll work on it over the coming weeks, and we'll try and get it done before the end of the month.
Okay, James Utley new. What's the difference between an MSO1D, XXX, and FSO1D?
quite a lot.
What I would suggest for that is go on our website and look at them. The MSO1D.
What's the second part of his question?
How to create more speed with the setup coming off corners.
Okay. I thought that was related.
Technique, I would say, is the key thing, and rear squat. The basically, if you imagine it works like this, the the FSO1D, the motor is in the front of the chassis, so it tends to pull itself with the front wheels.
And getting your suspension right is critical for it.
Yeah. The MSO1D, the motor is front mid, so it's here. So that means you can direct the traction wherever you kind of want it to. And it's also longitudinal. So when you apply power hard, it creates front grip. So it pulls you out of corners. So that's, you know, the corner exit speed. If you have the nose of the chassis down, you'll get more corner exit speed. Then you have the XXXD, which is a shaft drive.
Just on that element, you'll also probably end up with a lot more oversteer.
Well, yeah. You've got the XXXD, which is shaft drive, which you can get a front motor, which sits front mid, and you get a rear motor, which sits rear mid, mid being middle.
Between the wheels.
The one for us is the rear motor.
Yeah, essentially we kind of don't. I don't even know if they're available anymore. We stopped bringing the front motors in when we realised how much better the rear motors were, or how much better suited the rear motors were to how
they just work. The torque from the rear motor goes into the chassis, so when you apply power, like you create compression, like the RMX. The RMX is a more effective version of that because it's laterally mounted. But the XXX with the shaft drive is instantly responsive. It's super sharp response. The belt drive chassis are a bit more forgiving.
It's also a more rigid chassis.
It's also a more rigid chassis. What I'd say, if you're wondering which chassis to get, a belt drive chassis is generally geared better for someone who's not had that much of experience of full-size drifting. If you've got experience of full-size drifting, I'd suggest going towards the shaft drive, towards the XXX, because the response and the mechanical feel will be better for you, in my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm absolutely right, but
I think I'm not as convinced on that. I think I see the point, and I don't disagree with it, but I don't think it's as.
It's not absolute, but it's a feeling thing. But the RMX actually is the only kind of exception I've got to that at the minute,
because it's a slight hybrid.
But because it's got gears in there, and I think when that's on the
response
rear,
of that is not like other belt drive chassis.
Yeah, and I think when the rear of that is geared, then that'll be, I really want to try that because I think that'll be super good. So anyway, that does that.
Essentially, the difference is weight balance and where you need to focus your attention. With an FS, to get the FS to have lots of rear end grip is it's not impossible, it's just difficult because naturally it's got front end grip. So you have to effectively undo the benefits of the chassis to send the grip to the rear if you want to, have a super smooth, floaty chassis.
Exit speed is, a simple way of approaching it because obviously all of the suspension settings and everything else is very difficult. And I think the simplest way to approach it is adjusting your front toe setting, which is effectively, it's like fine-tuning your Ackerman, if you look at it that way. And changing that will alter your trajectory out of a corner. It'll alter the direction the chassis wants to pull or push itself. So what I'd say is play with your front toe. If you want the chassis to go wide, then give it a bit of toe out, so you've got a stronger Ackerman. And if you want it to tuck in and shoot out of the corner, then bring your toe in, so you've got more trailing wheel angle.
We need to
play with that.
We need to get on.
Exactly.
We're running late.
You tell me, I was just having a look.
I didn't even realise you did that.
Okay, Jason Burks, what are the advantages of the Keyence ESC motor over
Start again.
Basically, why is Keyence better than Speed Passion? Smoothness, response, control, accuracy, finesse, cool factor.
If I'm honest,
looks better.
If we flip the question, is there anything Speed Passion's better than that? X-Bounce. The only thing that it wins on is it's cheaper. So
it's more powerful, depending on which motor you pick.
But the drifting, I'm not interested in having more powerful.
No.
Essentially.
So in terms of drifting, no advantages with a speed passion, but all of the advantages with the keys.
I think we've covered that before.
We've done that a few times.
Unfortunately, we're a bit short on time, so we may go back to that. May go back to that.
Alex Wilson, what are the advantages of running turbo, and what settings would you recommend the base rib from? Settings-wise, Jay, your settings at one point were online.
Yeah,
the settings change all of the time.
Yeah, they've already changed. They're definitely different in my RMX now because I'm running a different motor and stuff. But one very important thing I need to say about that is if you use my rear-wheel drive settings, turn them down before you start it. We've had a couple of people run them on their chassis, and because they're not running on the same chassis that I was running, they've managed to obliterate parts. Yeah, because they're very aggressive, very powerful, and essentially turn them down. And if you want to, build them back up again. But they're the settings are put on Mizunaga's chassis, who is a bit of an expert.
He's power hungry.
Yeah, and he wanted more power, so I turned them up for him. That was the settings off that ESC when I posted them.
Cracking on. Advantages of running turbo. Basically when you're running power, and the reason for running turbo is that when you apply full power, you can make your spring compress. So basically, when you put the power on, you're squatting the chassis and creating grip from that squat. Setting it is a very difficult thing.
The advantage of using turbo over boost is that you don't have to have the power all of the time. So, for example, you can have your boost setting quite mild, and you can, for almost all of the lap, you can have a very smooth, controllable car. And then for the power part of the track, you can zap turbo on. Yeah. So you don't have to have a car that wants to spin up constantly. You can have it just so. I mean, most ESCs work with turbo generally from full throttle, and it's an amount of time you're on full throttle. So you only use it when you're literally nailing it.
If you're on turbo all of the time, you're probably doing it wrong, and you're just doing it very wrong.
Doing it very, very wrong.
Moving on, Rory Edwards. What do you see Soul RC doing in the future? Being awesome. What would you like to see the British drift scene be doing in 2015?
Learning more.
Setting up a car. Do you first mess with the mechanical setup before moving the ESC program? They're the same. Okay. So setting up a car. Follow the 10-step guide. We've got it posted. We've got it in our Q&A, which was the last Q&A. The one
before, I believe.
So Q&A 4. We talk about the 10-step guide that we got from Mizunaga.
And essentially, the last point on that is ESC.
Is ESC, so it's the last thing to do. What would you like to see the British drift scene doing in 2015?
Learning more, for me.
The RC drift scene or the...
Oh, okay.
Or the full size? I think he means full size.
Okay.
Because it doesn't say that RC, because RC would be this. But actually, what I want to see both of them doing is learning technique. Full-size drifting for me in Europe, outside of Japan actually, and this is again something that comes from RC, that when you step up a level, you see the next level, and when you're 3 levels down, you don't see 2 levels up, you only see 1 level up, you know. And so I'd like to see an increase in technique, and I'd like to see that recognized by the judges. That's
one thing I'd like to see more from full size is I'd like to see more full size people doing RC drifting. I think there's
that'd be
almost all of them will learn quite a lot about drifting they would never expect. It's bizarre. We've talked about this before, I think, but watching full size drifting for years is one thing. Watching RC drifting for a day will teach you a lot more than you think, I think.
Well, I have a constant battle on my Facebook, because my Facebook's obviously full of people who do full-size drifting. It's a constant battle with people saying, oh, yeah, you know, like your little toy cars, and, you know, why aren't you drifting full-size cars? I'm not drifting full-size cars because I can't afford it, because, you know, it's the real world where things are really expensive. But RC literally has taught me so much about setting up full-size cars and the dynamics of how the cars work. And I can, from RC, I can see so many errors in car setups and suspension setups, because obviously from RC you're looking at a millimeter you know, that's
20 feet away.
20 feet away. You know, so watching a full-size car now, they all look like boats.
Yeah.
They literally look like boats.
Or they look like they've got no suspension at all.
Oh yeah, they look like they're on weird sort of fluffy clouds that just sort of act randomly, a bit like suspension. But yeah, so you know, from that, basically, I want to see people's technique step up, and I would love so much to ask some of my Japanese friends over to emphasize that point.
Well, it worked for us in the RC world, didn't it? Having contact with Japanese people who are further ahead and more advanced than anyone in Europe. So why wouldn't that work for full-size people? I think it'd be very, very educational for a lot of people, and now they come over. But what generally happens these days is somebody gets flown over for a competition, they get given a car that they're not familiar with, they get a day to practice and qualify, they then compete.
Part of it is as well.
I think people need to get people over who are at a higher level to learn from them. They need to come over for a week and they need to run a school day. Yeah, you know, simple as that for me.
Well, I was going to say
it's a very expensive thing that isn't very easy to pay for.
Another part of that is when drivers coming over from Japan to go into Formula D or go into Drift All Stars, go into BDC or King Europe, whatever it is, the criteria that's being set for them is being set by judges who aren't at the level of the Japanese drivers. So the judges cannot recognize the techniques of those drivers, and so they can't ask them specifically to do a certain technique. I was having a discussion with Mizunaga, because Mizunaga is now working with the likes of Amandio, Saito Daigo, Taniguchi. He was recently, he put something up with Hibino. So, you know, he's hanging around with very serious drivers. Yeah. And I was having a conversation with him about Ibisu and the D1 rounds at Ibisu. So you can see this for yourself. If you go back over the last sort of 3 years at Ibisu, the driving level, maybe it's come up slightly, and the cars have certainly improved over that time, as they would do. But go back and look at the style that they run. The same corner every year, D1 changes their style. Yeah. So they will ask for a different emphasis on that course. So one year it will be snapping before the straight on the Ibisu course. So it'll snap, it would be a big snap. Then it'll be small snap, big snap. Then it'll be small snap, then throw the angle at the end. So watch it and you can see, you know, the different ways they're running the same corner, which creates a new challenge every time you run it. Okay, now we're going to run it this way. So it's the same course, it's the same corner, it's the same car, but you're doing something completely different. And the technique involved in that, the point at which you're snapping your steering, the angle you're snapping it to, the speed you're going, all of these little factors add up to, you know, like RC, you know, Korogashi, Tobashi, Keikobashi, like all of these things merge together to create one drift. But you need to have the judging at a level where you can say, at this point, I want you to do exactly this. And I don't think the judging outside of Japan is there yet.
No, but yeah, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to wrap things up because we have people waiting to use the track.
We do have one last question that we need to get through. It's very important.
It's very important, but
and it'll be very upset if we don't.
It's going to be a very, very disappointed person.
Jagan Evans asks. Jagan Evans, UK Amateur Vert Champion. Asks, where are the cream eggs?
Blame Cadbury's. We can't buy them until Easter. So.
Sorry, dude, no cream eggs. We want cream eggs because, well, actually, no, we don't, because I eat like 6 a day. Not as many as Jagan. Jagan literally eats 6 every time he comes in.
He pretty much eats a box.
I think I've seen him eat 8 in one go.
That's crazy.
It's kind of gross.
Anywho, we've got to go.
We've got to go.
We do need to open the traffic.
Thank you very much for watching. How much overtime are we over? Not too bad.
Not too bad, but we did start a bit late.
So like and share this.
Yeah.
Let people see this.
Give us a comment.
Wonderfulness.
And we'll see you next week.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Bye. Peace out. Good night.